think you sent an article, oh, was it a screenshot today saying that Labrador Retriever is no longer the most popular dog breed in the world?
No, they're not. In fact, they're not. No, they've been replaced.
And guess what the breed is?
The replacement breed is now the French Bulldog.
But then, come on lah, French Bulldog. No hard feeling towards smaller size dog, but I have this thing where I don't even consider them as dogs, because they're too small and then they give like cat vibes.
Cat what? Hey, don't do that. You're insulting cats.
That's why when I have a terrible segue lah. When you told me that French Pitbull is number one right now, right? I really wanna.
Hold on, French Bulldogs. French Bulldogs, right?
What did I say?
You said French Pitbull.
God, you confused me, Edis.
Sorry.
French Bulldog. When I heard that they are the number one right now, I really wanna electrocute the person.
It's not person, multiple people based
Yeah,
on
all
based
of
on
them.
statistics, I guess.
Okay, now this is the best part, the segue.
Okay.
Talking about electrocuting people.
Oh, nicely done. Nicely done.
Today
Today
we are
we're gonna
going
talk
to talk
about wow.
Today we are going to talk about electric vehicles, or known as EV.
Well, what comes to your mind when you think electric vehicles? I guess that'd be the first question.
I would say there's one word: boring.
Oh,
Hmm.
Tesla
Because
comes to mind.
not just Tesla. Obviously, there are like other brands. Recently, another brands surpassed Tesla, saying that they have a better electric vehicle. I forgot the brand. Start with
Kia,
something like not Korean brand. Was
Hyundai,
something starting from H. Not Korean brand.
H.
But then why I'm saying boring, because obviously I'm a guy that love combustion engine because of the sound, because of the
Mhm.
process of it itself. The combustion just, I don't know, it's something that I really like. And because we are going to talk about this topic, I was doing some research lah, and I came across this acronym which I never knew throughout my interest in cars and bikes. The acronym
Mhm.
is ICE. ICE.
Ice. Isn't that interesting?
Mm. But then what it stands for is totally different from ICE. You wanna
All
guess?
right. I'd rather not. I'm sure I'll get it wrong.
Internal combustion engine.
Okay, so what is the inter? Wait, hold on. Now I'm confused a bit. So what does ice have to do with EVs again?
No, I mean, while I was studying for EV, then this word came out lah, ICE. Then I
Oh,
was going to
all
find
right.
the acronym. Then it was internal combustion engine, which is
Okay.
like
So
totally the polar opposite of ICE, because ICE is cold, right?
oh, right. That's
Combustion
fine.
engine
So
is
okay,
obviously
I understand.
giving out heat.
Understood. So yeah. So I'm guessing that ice would be our traditional old-fashioned motor vehicle engine that doesn't
Yes,
rely on batteries. Yeah.
correct. Anything that
The
goes through combustion.
prime contributor to society's problems today when it comes to air
Pollution.
pollution,
That's
supposedly.
because that was my initial argument, without reading anything, right? Is the emission from vehicle itself truly the one of the biggest factor for air pollution? Fun fact, it is. That is one
It
of the
is.
biggest reason for air pollution overall in the world.
Is there is there a ranking system where that like, comes up on top, or is it just like one of them?
It's one of them, because I can't really find a proper list, because there are like tons of
Okay.
different articles, different statistics. But obviously the others were like factory waste and from volcanoes, those kind of like.
All right.
Another one, wildfire, yeah. So if you think about it,
Wildfire.
wildfire and volcanoes are kind of like out of our control, right? So you're left with factory
Uh,
waste.
okay. Wildfire's arguable, I guess.
Yeah.
The word wildfire, does it have anything to do with the fact that it's wild, so people don't have control? I don't know. I'm just floating this idea
So
here.
like okay lah, then just leave wildfire in the list. So you can only throw volcano out of your control, right? So you're left with three.
Okay.
Obviously, the fact that they are starting to produce EV, it makes sense because there's only three major factors for air pollution, and they're starting from one of the factors. And that is where it kind of contradicted my point, because I was thinking that Why can't they just figure out other stuff and solve air pollution? Why are they targeting like emission from vehicles only? That was my point of
Mhm.
view.
And so just to summarize, if I just to make sure I got you correctly, so the reason for that is because electric vehicles is just one of maybe a handful of the things that actually cause air pollution to such an extent.
I mean,
Am I
to be
right?
honest, why is there air pollution in electric vehicle? All they're doing is using electric to gain power, and it will rotate the motor,
Yeah.
and then the motor will rotate the wheels eventually.
Yeah. So there shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, but then I was thinking that why you need EV when there is hybrid, best of both worlds.
That's an interesting question. My general sort of intuition would go towards this answer, which is hybrid works mostly on petroleum,
Mm-hmm.
and only a small percentage of that car's mileage would be covered by battery. So I think that's where the electric vehicle part comes in, right? Hold on,
Mm.
let's first talk about how what the mechanism of electric
Electric
cars
vehicle.
is.
Okay.
So electric cars, they work by receiving energy from a battery. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, electricity comes from a battery in
Yeah.
this case, which is converted into power by an electric motor. And so battery, and then there's an electric motor. I didn't know this. I thought there was a difference between battery powered cars and electric cars.
Basically,
I didn't know they were
it's
the
like a
same.
smartphone actually.
Okay, and so this power is used to drive the wheels. The electric motor generates more torque. So you might have seen videos on Instagram or YouTube, Facebook. They show Tesla's accelerating, right? Where they
Yeah.
put a bottle up on, they put a bottle sort of like on the on where you'd rest your back on, and the moment they accelerate, they remove the hand, they release the hand from the bottle, and the bottle stays onto that, basically sticks onto the same place,
Yeah.
unmoved,
That is
because
because
the
of
torque generated
yeah.
is so powerful. Yeah, so the power goes straight to the wheels for instant acceleration. So that's essentially the concept of an electric vehicle.
Mm,
So like I was saying, traditionally the concept was, and I said this is what I thought initially, is that the most of your mileage would go to the fuel part, and then only a quarter of that would be saved for battery. So this was true just 5 years ago. BMW was doing this, Mercedes was doing this. I
mhm.
don't know if Audi had electric cars at that point. And then suddenly Tesla comes up, and it's fully electronic. How they managed to do that in such a short period of time, I've got no idea, but apparently now it can go from A to B, and that A to B can be a very long distance, almost comparable to a normal car running on fuel
Mhm.
without having to refuel. And all they need to do to compensate for the remaining part of the journey is just make sure you have enough electric vehicle charging ports
Yeah.
halfway, right? And I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah. Especially in Korea, there are a lot of charging ports, so it's actually very useful if you're using a Tesla. But then in our country, that seems to be impossible. Talking about Malaysia, right? I also came across another article saying that if you have electric vehicle like fully EV in your house right now, right, you don't need to pay road tax until 2025. Oh my god, my
Mm.
my my family accent just came out when I say raw tax. It's road tax, right? Know how long I thought it was raw
Yeah,
tax, like
Rotex,
ROTEX,
Rotex. Yes,
for
me
more
too,
like
me too. Yeah,
10
for
to
a while.
15 years, you know. My
I,
god.
I didn't think I didn't think it was that long for me, but I did think it was just Rotex for quite
Ah,
a while.
it
Maybe
was,
maybe till I was like 10. I was like, what the hell is this Rotex?
so yeah, so like Malaysia saying that it's free for all electric vehicles. They don't need to pay for road tax until 2025. It's a good move towards our country preferring electric vehicles more, right? To reduce the
Mhm,
pollution and whatnot.
mhm.
But then what about the charging ports? Are they doing anything to improve on that matter?
So far, based on my observations, oh, no.
Yes. I mean, while I was in Malaysia, I seldom saw any charging ports also. Like it is kind of impossible for you to move around using a fully electric vehicle. But I think we both know this Singaporean that come to Malaysia and used his Tesla to travel everywhere, and he was using autopilot some.
Yeah, it became infamous, right?
Yeah,
Infamous. But he got caught on cam,
yeah.
didn't he? Yeah.
But then he was kind of posing the videos on Instagram as well. But then how did he survive in Malaysia? That was my question.
I think he had a few cases against it. Like he had to pay some summonses and such, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
While there is back to the topic, while there is a push for EVs to be here, I mean, like you said, you can see a push by the government to, for example, not require the need for road tax for these people who are buying fully electronic vehicles. There are two things. First of all, fully electronic vehicles are not actually in Malaysia, I think. Uh,
Yes, Tesla has not entered the
Tesla's
market officially.
but they have been approved to be imported just recently.
Yep,
So
true. Yeah.
I think we'll be seeing them pretty soon. So at the moment, most Malaysians have resorted to hybrids.
Yep.
Hybrids. Yeah. So I my neighbor he had a charging port at his house. Do you know that? He had a
Mm.
BMW, and so he'd charge his car, and also like I'd see it plugged in at times when I go by his house. That was interesting. But so I was still always skeptical about how much mileage it could really give him.
I think for BMW, if it's an hybrid, right, I think it's quite similar to how you said just now. Most of them are going to be petroleum and some of them are going to be hybrid. But then, like,
Mhm.
if you think about it, there are hypercars which are also hybrid. For example, my dream hypercar, McLaren P1, is a hybrid car. I'm not sure, like, how much you can go from by just using electric fully. But thinking that even hypercars are bringing in electric, like hybrid engines to their own hypercars. I don't know why when brands like McLaren are doing it, there are also brands that saying that we are not going to go fully electric.
Like
For example, they never said like exactly, like firmly we are not gonna do all electric at all. They are giving like some kind of like ambiguous answers. For example, like Bentley said that I think you probably came across this article as well, saying that people in UK are not actually preferring fully electric vehicles. So if there's no demand as a brand owner, you're not going to produce any product that people are not gonna buy.
yes, that makes sense. Well, I didn't look at that article, but there is one thing I want to say about that, which is a lot of people have a fear with regards to electric vehicles because here's an interesting thing. So, I think you see a lot of electric vehicles that come out. The more of them that come out, you notice that all of them have got very advanced tech inside
Yeah.
to for example, the Tesla, right? It can basically drive itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can now hail cars like a Grab. I saw a video recently where a woman literally hailed a self-driving car from Ford,
Yeah, yeah.
and it drove her and her two and her I don't know her grandfather and one of her grandfather's friends who
Mm,
was around the same age. There was no one in the driver's seat, and it dropped them off from where they picked the car up to their desired destination. Uh, and so people don't really like that idea because
that
for a lot of
yeah.
people, driving itself is a kind of stress release or a hobby. So what happens if you just take that away all of a sudden?
And another thing is that I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that Tesla has this feature where if you put it in autopilot, right, you still have to navigate your hand around the steering, to make sure that the driver is still conscious and is not sleeping. So even if it's in
Hmm.
autopilot, you sometimes need to touch the steering or have like some points where you need to just place your hand. So to say that
Right.
how can the autopilot work without having no one at the driver's seat? I don't know which brand is it, but to be honest, I don't know about the fact that you say where the part that it removed their hobby of driving. But for me, it's so scary. Just imagine you are going like, let's say you are going in the highway, right? You're passing a car, then you accidentally look at the car. You realize that there's no one in
There's
the
no one
driver's
in
seat.
there.
It will just give me the trauma about that yellow Volkswagen in Karak or something, you know?
Everyone knows that story.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Hey, we left that topic already last week. We talked about it. We're not we're not going there again.
So yeah, first of all, that is already a big fear of my safety already on the road.
Uh-huh.
After that, only I will think about that it is taking away my hobby of driving. Like
Sure.
that will be my
Right, but
first concern.
integration takes time as everything, I suppose.
Mm.
So I mean that transitional phase, I doubt you can do anything about it. So which is why I'm more I don't know if I'm for or against the principle of I don't know if I'm for or against the principle of self-driving cars to begin with, in the sense that people wouldn't want you driving because
You're a bad driver.
they'd say, yeah, they'd say, well, self-driving vehicles will probably be able to do a better job at driving than you would. You see that happening in planes, right, already.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So like leaving the self-driving part away, right? Do you actually prefer electric vehicles over combustion engine vehicles?
well, you don't have to stop for refueling, but you
Still
have
need
to
to
sit
charge.
and wait long hours for
Yeah,
charging.
exactly.
Is that a problem that can be solved in the near future?
Yes.
Possibly. Because here's the thing, you've heard of this concept of where people won't actually own cars in the future. You've heard of that?
No, then how will
No.
they commute?
Yeah, I can see. Okay, so they don't own cars,
Mm-hmm.
but the cars are more or less like public owned. Cars would be freely roaming the streets, and if you need one, you hail one like you would a taxi, and you might find other strangers sharing that same car with you, who might be stopping somewhere along the way as you go towards your journey. Do you understand? And so if your journey happens to be further, then maybe while the car is traveling and it calculates that your journey is beyond its battery capacity, it will stop halfway, near its charging base maybe, and then you get picked up by another car that's already waiting for you, and then you resume your journey like that.
So it's a public transport bus.
Yeah, it's a public transport car, not a public transport, but it's
I
a
don't
it's a
know why you need to
minibus.
take so long to say it's
Yeah.
a public
Okay.
transport. But this
Apologies.
is my gripe with it, even in this situation, to say
Yeah.
that people won't really own cars is already sad for me. Because for me, like cars and
Yeah,
bikes
yeah.
are like some kind of emotion to me. Especially like
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking another thing that occurred to me today is there's these two types of, I would say, elements that you can add to your engine to make it faster. For example, there's turbo and supercharge. Just to explain it roughly, turbo is when the gas that goes through the exhaust, which is supposed to go out, right, all the air, it will spool back into the engine and will make the belt to move faster. So it will obviously increase the engine speed and will lead to your car going faster, or even your bike. There are bikes with supercharge. So like if you air fully electric, there is impossible for you to imitate a turbo, except for that immediate acceleration because of the torque you mentioned way earlier in the podcast. That is all you're
Right.
going to get. That is why I feel like if you want like top performance, I would still prefer ICE, internal combustion engines. But then for
Mm-hmm.
commute and for you to have your daily drive and everything, right? It's okay for you to have a fully electric vehicle. Even for myself, I would love to have a fully electric vehicle for daily commute.
So then there's the classic question: how could you prefer staying with ice when you know that it is one of the biggest contributors to air pollution?
I mean, that is the part where I can't even justify myself. My love towards internal combustion engine is just too much for me to say that I can handle with the air pollution. I'm not saying that I can handle with air pollution. I'm saying that we can find even better ways to solve the problem. Maybe we can add we brought in catalytic converter, right? Which was a great invention.
Mhm.
We can bring something else. while still using internal combustion engine. I'm just hoping for that.
So enlighten us a second. What is the catalytic converter?
Catalytic converter is basically like it will convert the so-called bad gases from your engine that should go out from the exhaust, right? You will convert it into like so-called good gases, like carbon monoxide will be released as carbon dioxide.
Let's end with the break first. We'll be back right after the break with this thing that we continued from the last two
Episode 2,
episodes
yeah.
already, right? Yeah. So we asked random questions. So today it's Yuvan's turn. Let's go. So we'll see you after the break.
So, you love listening to things. Listening's your thing. Podcasts, music, you listen to everything. You're such a good listener, I almost told you about my relationship with my mother. Well, dear listener, a fine listening connoisseur like yourself needs a fine listening post. How about a soft, comfy sofa from DFS? Perhaps I can lie on it whilst I tell you about mother. DFS, what's your thing?
For today's ending session, I have to give credit to another podcast that I was listening to just now. It was the Daily Catch Up podcast by some Singaporean people, and there's one Malaysian host as well.
Oh,
This was the question they were offering to, like a question that you can ask to your date so that you can know most about them. So I'm just going to ask you as if you're my date.
okay.
What is something that you wish to change in your life, and why, if you want to say it?
Wow. That is a difficult question, man.
Hmm.
Don't ask that to a philosopher.
It'll be like, okay, tomorrow I'll send you the thesis.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. So, do you know what? Can I ask that back to you first, and then I'll see what you answer, and then I'll try to come up with a short answer.
Again, obviously, it's no fun for me because I've already prepared the answer, right? Because I already know what question I'm going to ask.
Right.
It is to spend more time with my Malaysian friends during high school. Honestly,
Aw.
it's not even like because I'm saying it in the podcast, because I think I prioritize other stuff that I forgot to like cherish the moment with my Malaysian friends, like futsal, our
Interesting.
class, our futsal during PJ time, all those stuff.
Right. So your question again, if there was something
Something that you wish
about
to
you that
change
you
in your
change,
life. Anything.
something that you wish. What do I wish to change?
Eyesight.
Dude, why do you my eyesight? but I was gonna say something like that, health wise. But then is that like you are allowed to answer? You're allowed to
Can.
answer that kind of.
You wish to change something in your life. It can be anything. You can be like, I want to change
Uh,
Yuvaan to be a girlfriend or something.
My goodness. I wish I could. I wish I could be more competitive. Yeah. I guess.
And I'm here thinking that you are already competitive.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I
No.
mean, kind of feel like you were quite competitive back in high school. Now I don't know lah.
Yeah. Well, once it's not. It's I for me personally, it's more like I start off with good marks, but then the moment I realize that there is competition, then I sort of feel pressured. So I am generally a threat to I'm a threat to competition. But once I realize that there is
There's
competition,
it eats you back.
yeah, because I don't like competition. That would be it. So if I were more competitive, then I think it would be better for me.
Mine is the other way around actually. Having competition makes me do more stuff.
All right. Well, that's a good place to end it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them comment something if they listen until this part. Comment Karan loves Chelsea because he's wearing Chelsea jersey right now.
Yeah. Ewan is a Manchester United fan. So if you are on Chelsea side or any other side, just wish condolences to Manchester United. Put that down in the comments because they lost 7-0. That was the last game, if I'm not mistaken.
No, after that,
Manchester United.
Liverpool got knocked out of Champions League and we are still in Europa League. Bad comparison, but we are still there.
Wow. The devil did something. Okay. Okay. Good night. Bye-bye.